Okay, so what should we talk about?
I don't care.
Oh my god, so when did you I just noticed, you get a lot of
Messages?
yeah, messages
Uh-huh.
on the thing. And you've been posting like some comments.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like,
Well, because he's got this whole channel, and Craig wasn't even really sure like what you do. So, what you're doing this for? You know what I mean?
right. Well, I'm just. Did you watch any of the? Did you go online and watch any?
He didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I
mostly.
was going to, but this week has been crazy. So.
Right. Well, how this all started was, Clark had. Did you post videos and then people were emailing you and you told him about your friend, the guy that you were talking to who committed suicide?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, the guy you were talking to eventually committed suicide?
Did I ever tell you that story?
Told me that story. Yeah.
When I was in Vegas, Wyatt was like, you need to make this video, and I was like, that's kind of awkward, like, I don't know what I'd say, and then he just turned the camera on, and I just, like, talked for, like, 80 minutes.
Yeah.
So I had this whole series of videos, and then I never finished it, because, like, the tape ran out, and in the interim, this guy from Houston emailed me and was like, oh, me and my friends are trying to figure out what to do with our lives, we're at BYU, we just don't, we don't know how to handle, like, being gay and Mormon and stuff like that, and then he was like, do you think we could talk? And the day we were supposed to talk, he was like, I'm sorry, he emailed me and said I have a really sore throat and I can't talk today, but like, I'll reschedule with you. And then 2 weeks later I got an email that was like, if you're getting this email, Alan took his life. And I was just so horrified. Like, and so I made this like really like impassioned last video to my like video blog. I kind of thought that was all I was going to do. And it was just like, if you have a choice of whether to leave the church or leave your life, you should choose the church, obviously.
You choose your life.
I mean, you should choose to leave.
Yeah. Oh, right.
If you have to leave one or the other. You should go. I'm like, you should stay in the church and commit suicide. No, it's so, anyway.
The next video. I understand what people were confused about the last video. We got 4 more suicides, so just to
Can you imagine, like, people just
my God.
jumping out of windows?
Well, that's the message you get. Anyway.
It is kind of actually, right? So anyway, I did that, and then Don was like, I'd really like to do something that shows, like, he's like, when I was coming out, I just didn't know that people live their lives in New York. Like, he's like, we have this whole group of people who are just, like, happy and well-adjusted, and they've, like, figured out how to do it. And he's like, more than anything, I just want to focus on the positive aspects of our lives and show that we're, like, living our lives and we're happy, and we're not, like, these dark, people that have, like, left the church. And, one thing we discussed also is that, there's this whole thing of, like, once you leave the church, they can say whatever you want about you. They can be like, well, he left the church, and now his life sucks.
I remember in the mission, do you remember this? Like, some speaker at the MTC got up and she, like, pulled out this letter from, like, some mom of some kid who came out of the closet, I guess.
Oh, God.
And she starts reading it, and then, it was about, I'm whatever he was doing. I forget. I don't remember what it said. But afterwards, her commentary was all, yes, he left the church, and he's in sin, and like she like had her whole like spin on it that she like kind of added and talked about how he was living in sin and not going to hell or whatever she said. I just remember.
And he was probably saying, I'm happy, and she was like, he thinks he's happy, but he's not.
Right,
kind of thing.
that kind of thing. Yeah. So,
Craig and I were missionaries at the same time, and we went to the same mission, and we visa waited for the same amount of time in New Jersey before we went to Mexico. Like, we literally, every step of our mission was together.
So, but you were never companions. So you were like in the same district, like.
They knew better,
right?
We would have had too much fun.
I didn't think Craig was gay at all. And when we got back to BYU, it was so weird because we never really got to be like hang out that much in our mission. We definitely knew of each other really well. And we saw each other at, like, district conferences or things.
You were in the mission MTC together.
We were in the MTC together, but we were not in the same district there. Because I had taken a bunch of Spanish classes, so I was in this, like, advanced Spanish class.
Yeah.
Yes, queen.
Yeah.
So...
No, but, like, I used to try to hang out with them every chance I get in the mission. Because I was like, here's Clark. He kind of created this world around him where it was okay to be Mormon and gay. Like, that he kind of was able to project that even that early on in his, like... because he had been out a little bit before in the mission, obviously, where he met you. Mm-hmm. And so I, like, really responded to that, because here I was in the mission. I hadn't really dealt with anything other than speaking to church leaders and saying, you know, I'm gay, what do I do? And they would say something like, you know, read these scriptures, and, you know, and actually, I think that my church leaders responded to me really well. I think that they gave me good advice. I feel like they didn't really tell me anything really that unhealthy to do. So I was kind of lucky. I never had someone that was like, you should, you know, I don't know what they would tell you, but like
date women, marry a woman,
right? Yeah, so
or whatever. And they also didn't make you feel really bad about yourself, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my bishop was like an attorney, and you know, so he was really very pragmatic about it and very intelligent and thoughtful. So, but anyway, but I still hadn't dealt with a lot of it in the sense that socially, or like what I want to do with my life, I kind of still was on the track to like, you know, get married. I kind of invented that for myself. That was like the answer. But but when I met Clark, you know, I think that even you kind of had the idea for your future as well. But at least you had the attitude of, I'm going to be myself while I'm doing it. You know, I think I was still definitely in that stage where I was kind of repressing who I was, and you know, not allowing myself to like, you know, think or interact with other people that might be gay. But I remember meeting you at the MTC, you know, because we decided we were going to the same mission, or we learned that we were, and and I always responded to his energy immediately. And during the mission, whenever like I got to hang out with him, I like really loved it, and that was really the only times that I even like kind of busted out of my own shell, was when I would hang out with him. And I think you still remember, like, you're like, because you used to tell me about, after you knew I was gay, you said something about how there were a couple times where you're like, oh yeah, maybe he did, you know.
Yeah. He would get like a little excited about seeing me, you know, like in the mission, and he would seem to be like, this is really fun. I was like, why does he like? I was like, maybe, you know. But he was such a sciencey person, you know what I mean? That was my perspective of him.
Gays aren't smart.
Because gays aren't smart. No, but he just seemed like one of those people who just like was just like into like in the math club, and like, not that gays can't be in the math club. I mean, I was in the Scholastic Bowl, but he didn't seem like, well, and my perception of gays at the time too was, I think, rather limited to like really flamboyant people, and Craig just wasn't really like that. You know what I mean? And I was so queenie on the I mean, I had these highlights that I was just like such a rebel to get, and I got them from these trannies at this hair salon. I'm literally not kidding. There was this tranny hair salon around the corner from where I lived in Culiacan, Mexico, and they like one day did this makeover on me. Like, they did these like highlights, and
we're gonna do a missionary makeover.
They were not just highlights either. They were like these chunky tiger stripes, like.
There were like,
and I had this long hair.
There was like boom, boom, boom of just like blonde, like on its
ridiculous. It was so like brassy, and the mission president was just like.
And your hair was like kind of long.
It was
like,
long.
It was like sort of.
And then I went in, and they were like, "Oh, let's give you a short hairdo." So they like cut my hair short, and I have these like before and after pictures of myself, like on P-Day, like getting my hair cut by these trannies. So I was like I was really being kind of a rebel, and I was really like. I definitely was obeying the rules. You know, it wasn't against the rules to highlight your hair. It was just like against the spirit of the law. But I'm like, spirit schmerit, you know. So, but the mission president, like, one time he pulled me into his office, and he was like, so I hear you've been getting your hair cut at this, you know, this sort of off color place. And I'm like, why? Why is it off? I'm like, what do you mean? It's a neighborhood haircutting place. Because it was. It wasn't like a tranny den of iniquity where people were like crushing up ecstasy pills and like snorting them, you know. It was like, it was just, you know, and normal people from the neighborhood went there, like normal Latina women, like between their tortilla runs were like going to the tranny salon. So, so he was like, what would you think of me if you saw me going there? And I was like, number one, whatever you're implying, people already think that about me. That's number one. I was like, number two, if I saw you going there, President, I would think that you were getting a haircut. Because it's a haircutting place. And that's all I have to say. And he didn't want me to go anymore. So I think I stopped going because he expressly like forbid me to go. So